The Rotary Club has asked for a moment of council's time to make a presentation for a new program called the Rotary Club of Kent's Parade of Flags. This will be a new initiative that starts next year, and we are on board as far as central maintenance goes to assist and help with this program. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Nathia in order to explain what the program is and let you know how we can help.
Thank you, both Dave and Melanie. Hi, I'm Nithya Venkatraman. I'm part of our Rotary Club, part of the board actually. And we have a lot of our board members here to support this, this presentation. And thank you all for giving us an audience with all of you to seek approval for this program. I'm not sure if a lot of you are familiar with Rotary. I know, of course, Dave and Roger are, but we do a lot of work to raise funds to put back into the community. And so this is a program that we've seen a lot of our neighboring cities Rotary clubs do, and we thought it would be a great thing to also implement here in Kent. And it's this Rotary flag program, or Parade of Flags. It's called both of those kinds of both of those things. And we've met with quite a few of the other cities at Rotary clubs to understand how the program has worked in their cities, what have been the goods and the pros and the cons, and we feel like we have a good handle on this. And in our conversation on Monday that we have a lot of good stuff that came out of that question, and we'll definitely be working with the city on implementing this program. So just to kind of give you a brief overview of the program, it's what we're looking to do is it's a subscription model for our citizens. And what they would do is they would annually give a donation. And then what Rotary would do was help facilitate with volunteers to place a flag, an American flag, in the Devil Strip, or I think you guys the tree line property, or depending on how the housing, how the house is positioned, pretty much near the curb. About like maybe we were talking about exactly what it would be, maybe 3 feet, 4 feet. But what we would do is make sure that it would look very nicely across the tree line. If you can kind of see this first picture right here on the first page, you can see a picture of, this is actually Twinsburg when they do this program, and how the trees are aligned. So it looks really beautiful when they're up, and and a whole neighborhood can do it. So that is what we're envisioning for this. And so we're planning to do this for 5 different holidays: Memorial Day, Flag Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, and Veterans. And what we would be doing is placing, and I'll kind of go through the execution, but we're placing a tube in the double strip to which would hold a flag, and then we would put a 10-foot pole flag in that hole during those holidays. And what we would do is enlist the help of certain student organizations and clubs to help us put the flags out a couple days before the holiday and remove it 2 days after the holiday. So it'd just be there for a short period of time during those 5 holidays. And so I think this goes over the list of, there's a lot of community benefits with this. It enhances community aesthetics and pride, fosters patriotism, supports local projects, and promotes collaboration. So I kind of wrote a little bit more, but all of you have that. I'm going to go through this quickly because I feel like you're all very familiar with this program to begin with. So the execution, Rotary Club would be the ones in charge of installing the sleeve bases that I just told you about, which would be these PVC pipings that would go into the ground. We would be in charge of that. And when it's not in use, we would put a plug over top of it. It would be flush to the ground, so no one would see that, and also no one would have any issues when doing their lawn care. So that's what it would look like. And then for the implementation of the flags, what we do is then involve, as I mentioned, local community groups such as high school teen boosters, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, to help put the flags up, place them, and pick them up. And from that, they would actually get some of the proceeds as well for their teams and clubs. So it's also a fundraiser for them as well. So we'd be helping out those things and getting the school community as well involved with doing service within our community. And then for us, the Rotary Club would be in charge of the flag, and staff maintain it, store it, take good care of it. all of that will be done by our club. So, but yeah, and part of that would be the care, storage, delivery, and pickup. So we'll make sure of all of that. And then for us, we'll also be monitoring the subscriptions. So we would do a website as well as actually doing mailers out to people to have them subscribe to the program. So that's basically an overview of that. And just wanted to see if you guys had any questions.
Any questions from council at this point? Yes, Heidi.
Yeah, this does look very nice, this picture, but I don't know a lot of neighborhoods in Kent that have that beautiful tree lawn that looks like that. So, and also, and maybe this is for Melanie, I'm just wondering, we tell residents not to put signs in the tree lawns on a pretty regular basis. I tell people that.
That would certainly be a part of the education of this, as we were helping them establish the program for sure, because all signage has to go through community development. The pole that they're recommending or that they're going to use is a 3/4 inch PVC. So the pole itself is going to be pretty small. So an ability to place a sign or something else on it would be difficult. And again, they're going to drop it off and pick it up. So there wouldn't be any remnants left behind that would give them that opportunity to hang something else from it.
I'm just wondering, my question would be, so for the people in the neighborhood who suddenly see these flags appear, would there be any signage saying something about Rotary? This is a program of Rotary. I mean, because it's hard to educate the public, honestly. And making that one exception to the tree lawn, we would want to be clear that this is something sanctioned by the city. You know, and not like, okay, now it's a free-for-all.
Right. So what I would say is it's our responsibility to make sure that we educate and promote it. The more we educate and promote it, also for us, it should benefit us because maybe more people would like to get involved. So our plan was to do some flyers and just notify other organizations as well, and then have a website and possibly do some what I would call get into some bulletins as well around the community to educate.
On behalf of the city too, I could include it as a part of a tree city in the spring so that I could put that under the service side with names and numbers to contact. We will also have close contact with them on that as well, because we anticipate probably 80% of the phone calls will be coming to us and we'll have to redirect them. So we'll hope to educate our staff as well so that we know what the right answers are and to whom they have to get in touch with.
So okay, it would be published in the Tree City Bulletin, which is one of the very few things that everybody sees. Yeah. So also, like, I was thinking about like a neighborhood like South Water Street, where the tree lawns are like this big. Would that then go into the private property owners' yards? And so the visibility issue.
The size of the flag is 3 feet by 5 feet, and it's more of a banner than a flag. So it's not going to wave in the traditional way, that it's going to be pretty set and stiff. So that's why we have to be careful. And we've already agreed that we would meet out with them once they have their subscribers so that we can begin to set those back. You don't want to put it 2 feet behind the curb and allow it to hang 3 feet into the road. So we've got to make sure that we've got that clearance. If it's a small area of that nature, then yes, it would have to sit on the back side of the sidewalk and be in the private property then.
Okay, so the city would be involved with making those determinations.
We would assist them with the correct location, yes.
Okay.
Is that all, Heidi?
For now, yeah.
Chris?
Yeah, thank you. Can you share a little bit about, you said you were going to plan to involve student groups in the picking up and the moving. Can you share more, or do you have groups lined up?
We don't have groups lined up yet because we were seeking for approval before we kind of publicize that we are wanting to get. We've talked to a few groups also about the possibility of doing such service projects with us, but yes, we don't know exactly who yet. Wanted to get the approval before.
Okay. Related question is, packet mentions picking up or placing the flags being as a fundraiser. Is part of the $55 then just directed to those groups?
It is, exactly.
So this is a nice way to get community funds out to local.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So
last question is, have you given any thought to this being available to businesses? Or, I mean, the parade routes and things like that?
Yeah, great question. Definitely, we want to include businesses. We did have some conversations about that because it may be difficult, especially for the downtown area. So we do need to put a little bit more thought into that of what that would look like. But the idea is that we would branch this to include businesses as well.
Thank you.
Other questions? Oh, yes, Dave.
Can I just add, I mean, those questions, your comments, both of you were exactly what we had in our meeting. And, they walked in and they were all smiles, and then their eyes got bigger as we asked more and more questions. But I feel like they've been very thoughtful about it. We reassured them that, like, look, we roll out new programs before, and we can plan all we want until it gets out there. We're going to learn a lot when you get out there. And all those kind of nuances that you're talking about, we said the same thing. Well, some of these neighborhoods, like, was this one Twinsburg, or where was some of the other?
Worcester was another one,
Yeah.
and then Wadsworth.
And so it's like a lot bigger, like tree lawn areas. And we said, Kent's different, it's older, it's this. But at the end of the day, we were like, we'll work with you. We'll just have one of our people kind of join you out there, walk the areas. If you get a subscriber that you're scratching your head about and can't figure out how to make it work. So we at the end of the day were like, it's a worthy cause, a worthy program. It's a proven program. We're willing to staff support it. I do think it's maybe worth kind of doing it for a first year basis, give it a try. You do that, council does that sometimes. One of the things that I wonder is, and once you start allocating the right of way, there could be a line of people that want to have allocations in the right of way. We love Rotary, but do we love others? And then how do you start? Well, we got to choose between Rotary and Lions. I don't know. What do we do? We'll have an arm wrestling match, those are legitimate things that we may have to cross those at some point. But I also am a believer that you don't not try things because you're forecasting all the things that could go wrong. Let's go out. Let's put it out there. These are people in the community. They're not going anywhere. They're going to work with us. We're not going anywhere. So from the staff perspective, we're willing to kind of give it a try. But we would like your authorization of that. And even if it is for like when you come back in a year and report on how it went, and if we decide at that point that we've got 30 other organizations lined up, we might have to figure out, well, we'll do a lottery. This year it's Lions. Next year it's Kiwanis. Then it's whoever. I don't think that'll happen, but we got to think that way because we're a city. So thank you.
Other questions from council?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit more concerned about just the people in the neighborhoods wanting to, well, they see this, they want to do that. And also, I live in a mixed student neighborhood where there's marauding students. So, there may be some vandalism. I guess one of my questions is, have you considered doing this on different days, maybe with Kent flags?
Great question. So we also talked about that too. Our club has been wanting to tie in something with Kent as well, and especially with the new flag, we thought that would be something we could also kind of put into this as well. So we definitely have thought of that too, and would love to do such a thing.
Yeah, I would feel like I would want to subscribe to Kent flag, even though I have one flying in front of my house, but that would be fun. Arbor Day, maybe.
Yeah.
Other questions from council? Seeing no questions from council, is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak to this issue? Being no one wanting to speak to this issue, is there anyone who'd like to make a motion? Yes.
I'd like to move to approve. I think this is a really interesting idea, and I like really interesting ideas. So I hope it's really successful and it raises a lot of money. So I'm curious to see where it goes. So thank you for bringing this to us.
I'll second.
Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, same sign. There you go, Mr. Amarin.
You
want
want
to
to
do one
do
more? Yeah. Thank you, guys. We have also a proposed revision to ordinance 90103, and Mr. Bowling's got, oh, that's not Mr. Bowling.
Short to no. Jim had a great evening planned for him tonight, and so I told him absolutely you must go. I'm a little jealous. He's over at the Kent Theater listening to the Irish Tenders, I believe, for Christmas. So I'm like, I just should have taken that spot. Anyways, this one's quick and easy. We're in the process right now of updating all of our standards and construction drawings. And part of that was a culvert pipe. And when we went through the codes, we noticed that we had some conflicting information in there. So we are before council tonight to ask for section 901.03 repair and replacement standards be amended so that it will no longer read that it can be replaced in type and kind of materials, but in accordance with the standards and specifications of the Deputy Service Director and Superintendent of Engineering, as that is the standards that we'll be continuing to use. So you'll see me here in the next couple months, or Jim in the next couple months, as we continue to update our standards and specifications, and this is the first one. So we're looking for support of this, and we would ask your consideration and request that you approve this with the emergency clause.
Okay, any questions from council? Yes.
So does that mean you're going to get away from steel pipes, maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions from council? Seeing none, anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? Seeing none, back to council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any other comments, Mike,
No, it's the emergency
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
with emergency.
with the emergency? Yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to go back to the agenda here, and we're going to go to the committee of the whole and city department staff updates. Mr. Cecil. I don't want to say we only have one. That makes it sound like he's not worthy, but he is. Nick's here tonight. He had at your table, you will see, it doesn't have a front cover. He's trying to compete with Rhonda and her budget, you know. But in case you wonder if we're prepared for cybersecurity, the answer is yes, but there's always more to do. And that's, Nick's been working on that and the state's pushing that. So he's just here to give you a quick update on that.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So as Dave said, the new Ohio Revised Code, they released House Bill 96 that actually mandates that we had a lot of these policies in more slimmed down forms, and what you'll see in the very back is our end user policy. This is what we already had in existence, and it had much slimmer versions of these, but now that they're required by this new House bill, it was a response to a lot of the local municipalities, the data compromises in the last 2 years. I believe there were 16 smaller municipalities in Ohio alone that had data breaches or compromises of another nature that were reported, that we're aware of. So that being said, the state responded and said, you guys need to take this stuff more seriously, and this is you need to be more active in this. And so the policies you have before you are the 6 required categories that the state required, and these are the policies that we've developed to meet those requirements. So if you guys have questions or want to look through them, but that is.
Anybody have any questions for Nick? No.
They're really exciting. Hope can attest to it too. They're quite exciting and engaging, but
I did take a look at the that House bill and compared it to what Nick gave me because he worked with the consultant. I will tell you, this is one of the most impressive policies I've ever seen, and they touched on everything that the law required. So we're covered.
Yeah, I'll tell you, he seems like a nice guy, but when it comes to cybersecurity, he's not so nice. He is he draws a really hard line in the sand.
I don't ever want to be the person standing in front of you saying we've had to activate one of these procedures. So yes, we take them very seriously.
Appreciate it. Roger?
Yeah, Dick, first of all, impressive.
Thank you.
From your perspective though, this is a document from the actual infrastructure and the things that we've already done. Where would you place us in terms of security?
Well, as I always try to tell the staff, unfortunately, statistically, it is not a matter of if you will be compromised, it is a matter of when, statistically. However, that being said, I do believe that we rate higher than, I mean, again, I always tell her this, and I think she thinks I'm making, blowing smoke, but Rhonda actually, working with our finance director, she has also been very cybersecurity conscious and has done a nice job, funding us and supporting these security initiatives. So as a city, based on the support of the department heads, like I said, especially financially, I do place us well above a lot of our neighboring or sister cities. I think we have done an excellent job internally. Again, security is not always a popular thing. I know that, Duo is not everyone's favorite friend. However, it is a hugely important component of our security posture. And again, I appreciate everyone's adopting of it and patience with us as we add some of these layers of security.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions from council? Melissa?
So this is all policy, which is great and very instructive and something I know almost nothing about. What, when we look at the budget for, which Rhonda put together for us, is there money covering kind of the upgrades that might be necessary to meet these
So
policies, or are we already in good shape?
realistically, through our own efforts internally, we are already meeting or exceeding what the policy requires.
Thank you.
Yes.
Further?
Nick, did you want these booklets back?
Yes, please, because this will actually have to come to be adopted and approved in January. So these were just for you guys to look at.
Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. First, some of this, looking at the very back, some of this, the social media policy, I feel like council should get updated on. I'm often speaking from a place of, as a councilman, and it's good to review some of these these bullets. What about AI? Is there a city AI policy in terms of employees using?
So that wasn't required by the state bill, but yes. So in the city, when we engaged with this firm to develop policies, the 6 core policies that were initially started were the 6 core policies to meet the state requirement. Yep. However, there are 4 additional policies that we are currently working through, one of which is the AI component. Yes.
I hope you'll come back and share that with us.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. One last question, Nick. We haven't had a breach, but have we recognized attempts? Have there been any kind of attempts that somehow register
This
within
isn't an attempt. This is no attempt by any means to scare you or anything. Every day, yes. There are logs constantly against the firewall attempting to remotely access the VPN system. There are logs against our email accounts that's why Duo is where it is. I mean, that's why those things exist. Yes. We also contract with a cybersecurity firm. They are our MSSP, our managed security services provider, and they watch 24/7 and monitor those logs and events and perform analytics against them. And then they either address them in real time, or based on what the event is, it gets forwarded to myself and my team through our ticketing system, and then we address it internally or perform remedial training or whatever it may be. But yes, consistently.
Yeah, I think it sounds to the educated somewhat boring, but I think the people in the community need to know how the expertise that we have in this situation really is protecting our whole community.
Yeah, so we take the data within the system very seriously. Like I said, it's not always convenient or everyone's best, they don't always love it, but at the end of the day, my job is to be the defense of people's protected information, and that's what we're here to do.
Very good. Thank you.
Heidi?
My workplace has extensive training that everybody has to participate in. It's just different scenarios and, so that you can recognize when something may be a fake. Like, we did have Jerry Fiala sending us notifications to hurry up and
to get gift cards. Yes.
Right. But, that kind of thing, that was pretty blatantly odd. But, there are things that, everybody fails on. Are you thinking of doing a staff training program, or have you done that?
The second to last. So the very last section is the existing, but the second to last is actually the security awareness training policy. And yes, that will be coming.
Yeah, because that's been really useful.
It already exists in a much smaller form. One of the required things, and again, that we worked on this through Rhonda, is there's the fraud, waste, and abuse training that is required. And so that has components of it, but we hope to bolster that with an additional training component that's actually that was part of the reason we went to the Office 365 suite. It actually has a built-in set of tools that you can send out. And because it is the email platform, it has a lot of pieces built into itself to prevent those things from coming through. But because it's both the email platform, it can send those fake emails and they look more real because it is our email platform. And so it's a little bit more in depth of training, yes. And so if you click on something or if you forward it, it knows that, and then it signs you up for training, and it says, all right, well, off you go. And then per the policy, you have a certain amount of time to complete said training, or then we have to move on to the next. I have to go talk to your manager or whoever. But yes.
Yeah, my company's very adamant that we are all responsible, not just the IT people.
Correct. At the end of the day, we are all responsible for the data within our system. That is absolutely correct.
Further questions? Anyone from the audience? I think we don't need any action, but thank you very much, Nick.
Yeah. So, and then the next thing with some of this is we acknowledge that the laptops that you guys were given were not quite functional for the position. So the question is, we would like to see more engagement and adoption through those. A lot of your communications do constitute public record. And so we would like to see those things routing through the things that we back up and maintain for public record. So that being said, we acknowledge that the laptops, based on the fact that you aren't within our network consistently, was not the right solution. The proposal and what we're looking for your feedback on is we'd like to do iPads in the next round of replacements. With that, do you feel that that would be more conducive to you using them, and would they be well received? I guess that's for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would that be something that be easier to do? Well, okay, that's
These three
I mean, I do need your old one back.
I guess I would prefer that.
Very good.
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Okay.
As long as it's
I'm
enough.
going to turn it over to community development.
Alrighty, so we have Bridget coming up here to discuss proposed updates to the Sustainability Commission ordinance. Thank you, Bridget.
Yes, thank you. So since 1995, there have been 3 ordinances on the books for the Sustainability Commission. And unlike other boards, there's a lot of specificity in these, which means that they become outdated or conflictual if there's changes or transitions in the goal or objective of a board. So typically the ordinance themselves is a little more generic. Hope can speak to that because she usually writes those, but the specificity is encapsulated in the bylaws and the rules of procedure. Typically those also reflect Robert's rules, so these do. One of the most important things with the Sustainability Commission is that now we do have a climate action plan. So, and we do have a full-time sustainability coordinator. So I know that the members, the chair and a member of the Sustainability Commission had been working with Julie on the bylaws. One of the things we want to move to the forefront is transitioning to activities that promote our climate action plan. We want to allow for that input and advisory, education and outreach, but still, of course, connecting to the Sustainability Commission. So one of the other issues we've had is that there's a lot of tabling and a lot of events associated with this. And Julie, because we had evening meetings plus her time tabling, we went through overtime across all boards and commissions in our department earlier than we should have. So we wanted to be more strategic with how we organize those the board. So there's quarterly meetings, but there was a question that came up with the Monday night when the draft was shown to them. So I did put in there, you have a new version from what was in the packet in blue. That work sessions and special meetings can be convened at any time. That is standard Robert's Rules and Procedure. It's the same that could be happening with council or any other board or commission. But because those questions came up, I actually built that into the rules and procedures and bylaws so that it was there so the members could see that. We would really like to see more ad hoc meetings focused on targeted areas in our climate action plan. We need to develop programming, outreach, and education initiatives that we can present. To have standard meetings with the same things on the agenda and not getting out there. As Judy mentioned in her interview, she really likes to focus on stationary energy. We would love an education and outreach program that Julie can be working on, and we can have our volunteers on that Sustainability Commission going out and talk. but that takes time. And usually that work is best done in small ad hoc groups. So that's what we're hoping this transition allows for. Another thing, by making it in the bylaws and in the rules of procedure, is then if there is a shift, if they decide they want to add another, we have 3 components that have been targeted in this, but maybe they want to add a 4th or change it, it can be done through a vote of the board versus an action of council. Of course, council is always kept apprised of this because our sustainability coordinator, Julie, gives you monthly updates and quarterly updates. So you would be made aware of that, but it would just allow for easier pivots when issues come up. And it also would reflect more the approach that is used with all the boards and commissions, of which 9 are in this department.
Any questions from council? Okay, anyone from the audience? So when you come up to the microphone, please just say your name and your address for us, just for the record. Thanks.
Okay. Judy Nelson, 330 Whetstone. So as Bridget indicated, we had discussion at our meeting on Monday concerned about this change. And so we voted that I as chair would come before you and issue a comment statement. So I'm here to do that. And so though we understand and appreciate the budgetary restrictions of the city, we, the volunteer community members of the commission, are concerned by the reduction in the number of meetings to be held yearly starting in 2026. We feel the work of this committee is important and the progress made towards a more sustainable future is a benefit to all Kent residents. Reducing the meetings from 12 yearly to only 4 will limit our ability to provide input and do the work outlined by these new bylaws and rules of procedure. As Bridget indicated, she did add that additional section. That section has not been discussed within the commission with the commission members, so I cannot say whether or not they feel that sufficiently covers their concerns. So on a personal note, I hope that you all had a chance to read the Sustainable Kent e-newsletter that was in your packet. It's a special edition and it covered the October Sustainability Month that the mayor proclaimed. We feel that we were pleased with the response from the community. We'd certainly love to grow that particular program event for the futures ahead. But thank you, appreciate it.
Any other comments from the audience? Right. Back to council. Yes, Heidi.
I would kind of like to have more time on this to consider, to talk to other people in the commission. And there are a lot of changes that I do have some concern with, and I'd like to talk to Bridget further too, actually, and also our sustainability coordinator. I know there's 2 weeks between this meeting and the next, but I just feel like I can't really vote on this yet. I'm concerned about the cohesiveness of the group if it only meets once every quarter and only 2 people from the commission can be on an ad hoc committee.
If the meetings were held, didn't run as long as they did, and Julie wasn't also responsible for tabling all the events, we wouldn't be running through the overtime. That's part of the issue. So with the meetings, they could meet monthly if we could move some of those meetings during regular hours. All of our advisory boards do not meet monthly. The only ones that meet monthly are quasi judicial, which is the BZA and the Planning Commission, and even those only convene if there's a case. Advisory commissions do much of their work through ad hoc and meetings that are held during time. So these meetings run typically more than 2 hours every month. And when I get called and notified that we're running, and remember, I have 9 boards and commissions.
Correct.
So I have to manage the budget for the overtime and compensatory hours across the entire team.
Would the city participate in all the ad hoc meetings?
We usually have the sustainability coordinator participate in that, yes, because we have a coordinator now. We're trying to move things from talking in a room to project implementation and program design so we can start getting things out to the community. But she is part of all the meetings typically. There are some that she's not, but she's been engaged because we now have a full-time staff person and we're trying to get things moving forward. So they can meet monthly. It's they run 2 hours once a month, 12 months out of the year. Plus there's tabling events, and Julie does a lot of the tabling. The volunteers do some of the tabling, but Julie has done those that other members can't. So that time is just really adding up.
I also have another question about the membership. I find it intriguing that one of the appointed citizens can be a current member of Kent City Council.
That was actually run by the Sustainability Commission. Actually, everything that's in here other than the Roberts rules came out of the Sustainability Commission small group. And that was Tracy and Judy, so they could answer those questions for you, but that was a request from them. So if one of them wants to speak to that.
Yeah, I just want to say I do like that very much, in the sense that I thought there should be a liaison. But that would take away one of the 5 citizen members. So that would be my concern.
Board, so that was.
Is that a question that you want someone?
Yeah, that would necessarily take away from.
Is there someone from the board who wants to
because
answer
that was
the question?
The administration really only did the Roberts rules, and the much of the work was done with the ad hoc group, which they're here. So Tracy, Judy.
Okay, so our thinking was, if you look at the original ordinance, it was very across the board at all departments involved in the city that the Sustainability Commission would be interacting with. And so when we looked at how could we transition from that ordinance to a current day, the idea of having a council member serve on that, on the commission with us, gives us that opportunity to engage the larger city aspects. Also, when I looked at what other cities were doing for me personally, many of them, the sustainability work that was being done was being guided by the mayor, by very, the officials were involved in that process. And so I thought, well, how can we integrate some of that into this and make it work for the city?
Are there any follow-up questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you responding. So to clarify, Tracy Wallach would serve on the Sustainability Committee while acting as a city council member.
I would assume, Hope can speak to this, that council would appoint
Or
them
is this
when they do the boards and
first thing?
like,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Okay.
But that did come out of commission. The administration, to clarify, Heidi, we did the Roberts Rules of Order, the logistics of it, but the 3 components that came out of the ad hoc bylaws committee that was comprised of Tracy, Judy, and Julie, and the 4 meetings was also something, but I will tell you, that was brought up by me because of the issue that was brought up during our budgetary discussions, that the amount of overtime and compensatory time was getting high. So, but and everything else is just Robert's Rules of Order. If you look at it, they're just the standard Robert's Rules of Order from virtually every board and commission that we use. Very routine. None of it is specific to sustainability other than the 3 components, and that is actually, and that was all structured, that and the council person, that was structured by the ad hoc committee themselves.
Is there any further questions or discussion from council? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve with emergency clause, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's that time of year for the budget. And I think I say this every year, so forgive me for repeating myself, but it really feels this way. It's kind of anticlimactic because so much work goes into this. It's literally, they start almost as soon as they finish this one, or we all start. And there's multi layers of this. And, it starts literally at the ground level, and then it works its way up through the department supervision and into the leadership team. And And at the end of the day, Rhonda, he makes the final call in consultation, obviously, with each of the department heads. I mean, this is not a unilateral budget. It's very much a collaborative budget. And I just want to say a few words in that it is largely a status quo budget. I mean, there's changes to it and the numbers change, but most of those changes are fairly small. This budget does not address the big staffing gap issues that we presented. That's a conversation that we started this year, knowing full well that this is going to carry into 26. So we'll keep having that conversation, but this budget doesn't figure that out and it doesn't fix it. So it kind of tweaks at the edges. Much of the increases, unfortunately, are just the costs of things going up, energy, supplies, materials, labor. Our healthcare plan still does pretty well, but things go up.
Yeah.
Suzanne does a great job. I know she whispered in my ear that I think we might save some money with our new prescription plan that I negotiated. So she's always working on trying to contain those costs. I know we've talked about the healthcare and Melissa has some experience in this, and she's like, wow, you've actually been successful with a self-funded plan, because that's not often easy a city our size, and that's true, because a pool, just as Suzanne always says, it just takes a couple cases of really expensive healthcare needs in a year that can really throw it out of whack. But knock on wood, it's been working for us, and so we'll take it. We'll keep working it. So but those are kind of routine. You'll see the routine increases in there. We are ending the year this year as far as like our big revenue source, which is income tax. I was dismayed when Rhonda, she started the year so much better than when she's ending the year, because we were ahead once again for like third or fourth year in a row. But by the end of the year, it looks like we may be just about even where we were last year. Now, keep in mind, that was 3 successive years of growth, so I ain't complaining about that situation. I just prefer to always see the trend going, up. But so, like we've said every year, we budget conservatively. We assume kind of low-end revenues and high-end costs, so that in the course of the year, things work themselves out, hopefully favorably to us. And again, knock on wood, and some good due diligence across all the departments, it's worked out. And the labor issues, that's why we had these conversations to you back in the summer, leading into, we need 3 new fire, 3 new police, 3 new service. And you heard it echoed again with Bridget on a smaller scale. Overtime is an issue for us. We are a really relatively small staff overall, and but our service levels aren't really any smaller than the other cities. They're comparable and sometimes better. We heard our IT situation, we're better, and we're proud of that, and we don't want to lose that. But there gets to be points where I don't know if you call them breaking points, but Bridget kind of drew a line in the sand right on that issue. Like, I can't keep doing this to my staff, or I'm going to lose good people. That's kind of a consistent refrain that's underlying this entire budget, which is why we've kind of got your attention on this issue heading into next year. So I'm just saying it again, not to beat a dead horse, but I don't want anyone to be surprised when we're, looking at the kind of needs that we've presented. And I don't know yet how we're going to fund it, but like everything we do, it'll be multifaceted, probably strategic, and as thoughtful as we can be, and as sensitive to the ability to pay in the community with the level of services that people desire. And it's always that tension, right? Trying to find that equilibrium point. So I don't know, Rhonda, you can cover your basics. I just want to offer that context heading into it, and it's your floor.
Okay. So, like Dave said, like the capital plan, the budget book is a combination and collaboration between the departments, their staff, the city manager, and the budget and finance department. We can start, if you look in the budget overview, page 1-1, you'll notice that the income tax revenue, we did increase it from last year to $21,150,000.
which is about a $400,000 increase from last year, or 1.93%. But as Dave also said, our income taxes for 2025, it's at 0.31% increase from last year. So we didn't want to increase to this year too much. And then the other thing, to give you an idea of why our taxes are going down, Kent State is normally, I guess in the past, before I was here, they were probably about 40% of our income tax revenue. Last year, they were 28.89%. In 2025 through November, they're at 27.14%. So they are going down quite a bit. And that's just compared to our totals. The other thing you'll notice in the revenue section is interest income. You'll see that interest income has been pretty good in the past few years. Interest rates were rising. We took advantage. We still have budgeted for next year 1.3 million. It's not as much as 2025, but interest rates are going to be coming down in 2026. And we are trying to make a concerted effort to invest our money 3, 4, 5 years out. We're max, we can go 5 years out, but we're trying to get as high as percentages as we can. So we're trying to be diligent in doing our due diligence for revenue. The other, most of the other revenue is comparable for 2025, except you'll notice that the grant revenue did go down because of obviously the East Main Street project is budgeted in 2025. So you won't see that in 2024, but you will see that there's 9.6 million of loans, and that's going to be for the Influence Headworks building that's projected for 2026. On 1-5, this is a page of our estimated expenditures. Under the totals for 2026, you'll notice that the capital projects has decreased from 2025. It's decreased about $8.6 million. The majority of that is due to the East Main Street project, obviously. That was in 2025 also. And then it does include the Headworks building, like I just said. Most of the other items that are going up is because of, like Dave said, rising cost of labor, insurance, energy, material supplies, everything. The inflation rate for 2025 through September was 3.01%. And so you see that our personnel is going up 4.4%, which is slightly higher, but that's also due to our union contracts and due to some additional personnel that we've added. And then on 1-7, this is basically the same information. It's just detailed out into the categories that we have to include in our financial statements. You will notice that the total expenditures exceed the total estimated revenues. This is due to timing differences of projects that are being performed. And then it's an intentional spend down of some of our capital project dollars, as well as the enterprise fund dollars as well, which are like the water, sewer, stormwater funds. Other than that, I think everything else is pretty much the same as, from last year to this year.
Yeah, we talked about there are some new program areas, but where those are, we're shifting money from within, so we're not adding to things. For example, the neighborhood grants program. I think Bridget mentioned, it might have been last month, that we're going to take some of those funds and you create a new homeowner
down payment
assistance.
Right.
So that's new, but it's really just a reallocation of some funds. And there was a few other areas like that where we're trying to shift as priorities shift. Yeah, right. And I guess we'll talk about the personnel. There's really no new personnel funded, right?
There's no new personnel. There's some shifts that we included that will be discussed in executive session later under the personnel. But none of the new departments that they've come to you and discussed their needs, none of that is in here.
Further questions from council? I don't know how you.
Yeah, I was trying to find it, but my book fell apart. I was really interested in the undesignated fund, or, you know, sometimes we refer to it as our rainy day, but it's pretty significant.
It is, you're talking, at the back of the book?
Yeah, towards the back. But that is like, there's some things that we don't really budget for. Like, we're not budgeting for, well, things that we don't know might come up. You know, there might be opportunities that we want to take advantage of, or is that something that we sometimes
Are
might?
you looking at 10-8? Managed reserve?
Yeah, it's a little bit larger than that.
I mean, I think if we're hearing your question right, yes, that's what, during the course of the year, things come up that we don't necessarily anticipate, or things, you know, come before council and someone asks for, let's give some money to Kent Social Services for Family Community Services, some extra money there. And that was a small allocation, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we would dip into the undesignated fund balance. And you're right, it is at a record high, which is great. Now, it's not recurring money, so it is a savings account. Can't use it to pay people because they're going to go away. It'll drain each year and it'll be gone, but we can use it for, yeah, for other things, for contracts, for updating the housing study, or, you know, there are different things that we use that for. And in this year, it's a nice buffer where we intentionally sometimes have reasons we're going to overspend due to timing or just priorities, and that's where that comes out of. You adopted a fiscal policy. A certain percentage has to be kept in reserves, and I think you're well above that. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but you're probably 30% above that. I don't know if Rhonda has a better handle on that.
It looks like on page 4, Roman numeral 4, that it's almost
under your
$18 million, which
So-
is double that from 2010, which is pretty impressive that we've managed to set aside that level of funding. Not that I want to spend it all,
Right. Right.
but
No, it goes
yes.
fast. Remember when I arrived here, we were in a structural deficit every year.
Yep.
We spent more, not intentionally because we had extra, but because we had no choice. Just to keep the doors and lights on, we were a structural deficit.
Mhm,
So to now be on the other end of that sure is nice.
mhm.
I wish it was I wish I could keep using that money multiple times over, but absolutely, it's allowed us to do things and to be more aggressive in areas in terms of investing city money on strategic priorities.
Yes.
I mean, Chris was talking about some stuff with me before the meeting, and
Mhm.
you know, it may be we want to hire somebody like a contractor. So we use a lot more contract support than we ever have, because that's money I could do that for. If I run out, I just cut them loose. So that's why you've seen more, maybe you haven't noticed, but we've used more consultants in different ways. And that's where that helps too. So yeah, it affords us a level of flexibility that we've never really enjoyed. And so it's nice.
Right, but we wouldn't want to take that from that for our operations and
No.
maintenance. We would want to, you know, reserve that for some special opportunity, one-time kind of thing.
Opportunities. I would hope.
Opportunities,
Yeah.
yes, multiple.
This might also be for Suzanne, but I'd like to have a little bit of an understanding of how we are approaching, like going back out to bid for health insurance, making sure that we are consistent and, you know, it is going to be a continuing escalation across the country of healthcare costs escalating. So just maybe a little bit of an explanation of how we approach that long term, since we are self-funded. And for anybody who doesn't know the difference, it is a mechanism where we're actually paying healthcare claims as opposed to paying premiums to a health insurance company. It's a little more risk, but it's also a little more reward. And kudos to the city for coming up with this. not many cities, not many organizations our size take that risk, but hopefully it's paid off. So just a little understanding of how frequently we're going out to bid for who's administering our plan and who and how we get stop loss too.
So we actually have a broker that handles it for us.
Okay.
And they do it annually. So every year it's looked at. And the changes definitely depend on the stop loss.
Right.
And how we're looking for the larger claims, which are, determine our stop loss, which then keeps us self-funded.
Right. Right. And I mean, consistency of benefits for our team, so important, making sure we have really good, high quality care for all of our teams, so important. But sometimes it might make sense to maybe look around at another broker just as an option to see what other things might be available out there. Because stop loss there's kind of both an art and a science to it. And so we're going to have to be really strategic about that as we move forward.
We have actually had 3 different brokers within the last 15-ish years.
Okay,
So
that's good. That's good.
We
So do you have a plan to go out and at least get bids, competing bids for that?
for the broker?
Yeah.
We're all done for this year.
Well, I didn't mean for this year, but just like what the
we
plan is.
just changed not too long ago.
Okay.
So
Good. No, that's really good.
couple of years.
Right. Just like auto insurance and some other things, we need to always be looking for somebody who can be a really good partner, because what we're doing is complicated and there's a high risk. And so just making sure we have all the right partners and that we are taking care of our team. But it is really a high cost aspect. But I have really good faith in the two of you and that you've done a really great job. And when Dave and I had that conversation and he told me that we were self-funded, I was like, wow, that's pretty unusual. So thank you, both of you.
Interest rates. Back to 10-8, all our investment funds, so one interest heavily. Both receive that question of all of our money not spent.
So all the money is pooled together and we invest it in what we're allowed to invest it in. The state of Ohio in the compliance supplement has very strict guidelines as to what we can and can't invest in. So we have to adhere to that. So we have
no
a
coins.
financial advantage, pardon me?
No coins?
No coins, no Bitcoin. No. So we have a financial advisor that helps us out and, we talk to them about our debt. We talk to them about potentially paying it off early
Yeah.
when we can. We talk to them about the different types of investments that we have. So we're pretty diligent about trying to get the interest rates as high as we can for as long as we can, up to that 5-year max. The managed reserves that's in the back, that's something that was put together, and every year there's $25,000 that are added to that every single year. So it's not, the interest doesn't go into this. It's mostly in the.
I mean, it's interest that the city is.
Correct. Yes.
Kind of a sure. That is city.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think that was
There's a lot to do.
It's true.
Right. Rainy day.
Rhonda, can I ask a very granular question about the city council budget?
Okay.
Page 22. This is really just to help us as council explain. Folks ask. Notice that the O&M budget is reflecting a 34% increase from 2025. As far as I can tell, that increase is largely driven by the inclusion of 21,900 in utilities. Can you just explain so that we could explain it, why that's included now and not in previous years?
This year, we actually, because we have NOPEC, and NOPEC's prices increased dramatically for next year. So we were able to cover our bills with last year's budget.
Yep.
This year, we would not be able to do that for next year.
Okay.
And then you have to keep in mind that the budget was also increased because it now includes civil service, whereas in past years it had. In 2025, we combined it. So 2025 and 2026, it includes civil service.
Okay, so this, when it says utilities, we're talking about city council and the civil services share of the utilities that.
Right. It's this council chambers. This building was never in our budget before.
Yep.
It was always because we had it last year, but prices really weren't. We didn't know what the total cost of the building was going to be. So we've probably adjusted our budget lines accordingly for 2025, which you'll see in the appropriation amendment for this month. However, now that we know what the cost of the building is, we're allocating that to the various departments that are within this building. So city council has responsibility for this room, and the mayor has responsibility for his office, Kathy's office, city manager has his, and so forth.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big difference from last year.
It's a big room. Thanks.
It's a lot to heat.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed was the IT budget under general government is really the highest in the first listing anyways. And I know that that has been a growth area for us out of necessity. And it's helped us save funding in other ways. But I'm just wondering, is there a place where where we can see how much that has grown from the last 3 years or
If
something
you look
like
at
that?
2-35, you'll see the IT department. It's the last few pages of that section. One of the things that when I first started here, IT was one person, and all of the services that that person utilized to run the city was outsourced. So instead of outsourcing those services, we then brought it in-house, got a new manager at the time, got a director, and then have hired 2 new staff for the IT department. So that's the main reason. So we reduced the outsourcing, but then what you'll see is they're taking on a lot of the services that we provide. Say, for example, AT&T is all now under one department. Instead of being under various departments, he's taking on IT. He's taking on certain projects under his wing versus showing those in various other locations. So we can kind of have a better idea of where to look for certain costs.
Is there like IT share per department?
Yeah, if you look at the next page, 3-36 and 37. So the general fund pays for 75% of IT, and then water, sewer, solid waste, and stormwater share in the cost of the IT department.
We found that bringing it under better control, in order to raise the bar on our IT, we needed to do a better job of integrating our systems. I mean, that was kind of the big message when Nick was hired. It was like, we can't have all these like off-the-shelf single software platforms that don't talk to each other, each department. So we've moved, and we're super grateful. And mostly the purchases are done through the capital plan. I mean, through the capital budget. But we've made over $1 million. It's like 1.2, and there's more coming. And I was talking to Nick today about all of those are on a shared platform. They're super cyber protected, but it's that integration of data. It really elevates, it has that synergistic effect. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2, it's like 1 + 1 = 4, because you can really, now when chief is inspecting, his fire inspectors are inspecting somewhere, that can communicate that data back to Bridget's department, and the police can have access to that data too if they're running a call. We never had that before. And to be able to do that, though, required someone's navigating that. And so letting each department do their thing, it wasn't as effective as this case. We're going to bring it under house. They still do some of their stuff, but it's largely driven by Nick's office now. So
It's a wonderful change. I mean, it's been drastic from the time I started to now. And the cybersecurity, that's a must. I mean, I can't tell you how many cities have gotten hacked by ransomware. Saw it on Cleveland, Columbus, my former city that I worked at. Yeah, it's crazy.
Thank
Any-
you. It sounds
any
like a
further?
necessary growth.
We go to the audience yet? Anybody in the audience have any discussion? Back to council?
I'd just like to say, if I may, just appreciate all the work that went into this. This is an incredibly extensive document. Appreciate it. Can't believe that I just can call you to a random page and you can explain just like one line item. I can believe it.
I work on it every day.
Huge congratulations. And I appreciate the introduction. I really, I don't know who wrote that, but I was struck by this stat that it costs $88,000 per day to perform city services, and about half of that is fire and police. I think that really lays bare, for me, kind of how much goes into just keeping the city running. So thank you for making it understandable.
Eddie?
I would like to move to authorize this budget with the emergency clause.
Second.
Second one. Further discussion, anyone?
No, I'd just like to say Chris really said it all, and I'm always in awe of the work that's done here and just great fiscal management. So thank you.
You, the staff, do a marvelous job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know I'm going to beat a dead horse here, but I don't know that everyone appreciates the strategic decision-making that goes in to a comprehensive budget like this. And I think sometimes people think that decisions are made just willy-nilly, and it's not that way. Every decision, there's weight and counterweights, and I just commend our city for their strategic approach to budgeting and basically personnel and all the other items that come in. So thank you for that hard effort.
Further? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. You have a couple more, don't you? One more.
So for fiscal 2025, fiscal year 25, we are doing our final appropriation amendment request. However, you won't see a memo detailing out what we're asking for because our POs are closing tomorrow and we're starting to look at line by line all of our accounts and looking at anywhere there's negatives, looking where we can pull from one line to another to help cover costs. And so the final appropriation ordinance will be to you at the next meeting. So this is just my blanket PO, so to speak, for the next amendment.
So we have to approve this blanket, like a blank check, isn't it?
Kinda,
Okay.
but yes, this is.
Questions? Other than?
We do this every year.
Yeah, I know. It's actually so
Same
it's
thing every year. Right?
yeah, yes.
Move to approve with the emergency.
Second.
No. There was no one in the audience who'd like to speak to that. They got me ahead of myself. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Thank you, Rhonda. Oh,
This is my yearly request to ask council to authorize a contract with the Public Defender's Office to allow indigent defendants who have been charged with under city ordinances with crimes that we are able to pay them
same thing every year, correct?
every year.
Questions? Anybody in the audience have a question? Back to council.
Move to approve with emergency.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Hope. That's it for.
Do you need to read off the 4 and 5 or no?
Yeah, well, we have nothing under health, public safety, nothing on land use committee. And we already discussed streets and sidewalks.
All right, I'd like to move an executive session to review the proposed change to the city's 2026 position allocation ordinance and general compensation plan, and also to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of a public employee or official.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Ms. Zelka, Mr. Clapper,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Hook,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish.
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Mr. Turner's asked to be excused.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We'll meet in the, there's no lights in the room here, so we'll meet in the community room. Is that order?
Rhonda want these back?
We did. I just did. I know, I'm sorry. I didn't think we, during committee, I didn't think we excused, except during executive session. That's what I.
You know what?
No, community, yeah.